Hello, good afternoon. My name is Faith Metzler. I am going to discuss my historiography with you. The topic of which was Fred Hampton and the Black Panther Party. I was looking into how the study of the Black Panther Party and Mr. Hampton had changed over time. Historically, the Black Panther Party and its most prominent leader, Fred Hampton, have been examined in a way that reveals the politics of memory as much as the politics of activism. Early Cold War era narratives, shaped by law and order politics and FBI counterinsurgency campaigns, framed Hampton and the Black Panther Party as radical threats, which they were not, but that's how they were framed. In the 1960s and the 1970s, internal rivalries, state repression and oppression, and sensationalist media were producing a portrayal that oscillated between heroic revolutionary myth and ominous menace. Since the late 1990s, the scholars have increasingly focused Hampton's coalition building, his service programs like community health clinics, free breakfast programs for the kids, solidarity with tenants in the neighborhoods and workers, and the global influence of Black liberation activism. The contemporary works that I studied tend to center primary sources from organizers, state surveillance, archives, COINTELPRO, which targeted the leaders of the Black Panther Party and the Black Panther Party itself, and oral histories pushing beyond the sensationalism of headlines to examine race, class, gender, and state power in a comparative transitional frame. My examination and analysis seeked to balance moral evaluation with rigorous reconstruction of contested events and networks. So, let me tell you what books I read. That way you guys, if you want to look into it, you can. Because it'd be good to learn. That way you know what materials I used and how I learned about them through the decades. So the first one I used was the Black Panthers Speak. It's the 1970 edition. It was edited by Philip Fonner and is called The Black Panthers Speak. Let's see. The next one I used was the Black Panther Party Reconsidered. And that was edited in 1997 by Charles E. Jones. Let's see. The next one I used was We Want Freedom, A Black Panther Party History, done in 2003 by Mumia Abu-Jamal. And then the one after that I used was a very good one. It was From the Bullet to the Ballot, the Illinois chapter of the Black Panther Party and racial coalition politics in Chicago. That was done in 2013 by Jacoby Williams. And there was a lead-in to by Fred Hampton himself. It's a very good read. And then there's also, I used the assassination of Fred Hampton, How the FBI and the Chicago Police Murdered a Black Panther by Jeffrey Haas. That one was written in 2019. And then, let's see, the last one that I used was I Am a Revolutionary, Fred Hampton Speaks. That was edited by Sean Stanton Jr. and actually Fred Hampton Jr., Fred Hampton's son. It's also a very good read. You learn quite a bit from that. Now, the thing that started all of it was actually something that happened 56 years ago today. During the early morning of December 4th, 1969, Chicago police opened fire on 2337 West Monroe Street. It's now been renamed Fred Hampton Way. They assassinated 21-year-old Chairman Fred Hampton. Now listen, 21-year-old Fred Hampton and Defense Captain Mark Clark. And now, through my reading and research in the books, I learned that it has been proven that the assassinations were planned and carried out with involvement of not only the Chicago police, but the state attorney, Edward, I'm going to try and say his name right, Edward Hanrahan, Hanrahan, and J. Edgar Hoover of the FBI under a program called COINTELPRO, which specifically targeted the Black Panther Party. And that's basically what started it all. Was the government was so afraid of what they were doing for the community, the programs and whatnot, because the government wasn't doing it, so the people took it into their own hands, took the power to the people, and they were afraid of that. So they they did all this and ended up assassinating at least 2 people in the process. Now, something else you guys might want to look into that I read a little bit about while I was doing my research was the actual newspaper that the Black Panther Party had. It was called the Black Panther. Now, you can find that, I think I found some of it on JSTOR, but there's also libcom.org where you can find it. And that was a very important paper because it was the most widely read black newspaper from 1968 to 1971. Now, my favorite thing about all of this was exposing people that might not have known about the history and how the study of the Black Panther Party changed, how documents are finally being released, and how more information has come out over time about the party and about how important Fred Hampton was, and Bobby Seale and different people that were, that had formed the party itself, how important they were and the roles that they played. I also wanted to make sure people knew there was enough material to do this, that the study had changed over time, that it wasn't just seeing the Black Panther Party as a militant group, that they showed over time that they still do provide for the communities that weren't being provided for. Like, I found out that they are still active all over the country. Like, there's chapters in Philadelphia. They help in Philadelphia and New York, different parts of the country. And then I'm glad I learned a lot, because I knew some things, but there are things that I learned myself, about how the party was formed and how important these people were. And I also found out there's a documentary that you guys should check out on Netflix. It's called Judas and the Black Messiah, which if you can't find some of the books that I mentioned earlier, you can watch that documentary and still learn a good bit from that. I haven't watched it all myself. I've seen a little bit of it. That's why I didn't mention it in my paper. But it's good. I feel like it'd be good to look at, because, reading the 6 books that I was looking at might be a bit too much. So, thank you for listening. I hope you guys enjoyed learning a few things like I did. And have a good night.